Okay. Hi, welcome everybody. It's nice to see you guys. Hi. Hope you're all well and happy and healthy and safe in LA or wherever you are. I'm Marty Kaplan.
And I'm Elmo Koplin.
Yeah. And well, I guess well, first of all, thanks so much for inviting us to do this with you guys, because we really hope you get to come to Macon at some point in time. Don't know when that'll be, but you really do need to come.
Yeah, we had actually, when the original discussion was happening with this, we actually were talking about coming in, doing a lunch. We've got a barbecue facility just opened up, run by a couple of our congregants. We were set up to do kosher barbecue. So hopefully sometime in the future, we'll get a chance to do that. Hopefully maybe next year, y'all can make the tour and we'll be able to have y'all come by and
feed you.
And feed you.
Because that's what we do.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, like Leah said, I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and we met at the University of Georgia, where the Bulldogs play. In case you haven't heard, it's a big deal. And but Elmo's family has been in Macon for like a gajillion years. So.
Yeah, my family, my grandfather moved here first early, probably 1918, sometime around there, and started our family business in the scrap metal business in 1919. So officially, I know we were around 1919 is when my family ended up moving here. Actually, the scrap company we were involved with was part of another member of the Temple Beth Israel. Actually, Gus Kaufman's family had G. Byrne Company, which was a hide facility that started in 1865.
Hang on. He speaks Maconese. That's hide, H-I-D-E, as in like the skin of animals, not hide.
Sorry about that. But we, my grandfather purchased the scrap division of G. Byrne, and we set up Macon Iron Paper Stock Company, where it was a family business up until about 10 years ago, where we were acquired by Schnitzer Steel, that's based in Portland, Oregon. But my family's been here all these years, and during this time, I mean, of course, my grandfather and grandmother both were very active in the shul. I think my grandmother was the first president, the first woman on the board. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, been very active. Of course, same thing with my father, and was very active in the shul life, and he served as president. And I'm my third round of serving president presently, and so but been very active in it as far as that goes. What do you do? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna start our little PowerPoint.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Congregation Sha'arey Israel, we were started in 1904 with 54 men. We purchased property in 1919, and the building was completed in 1922.
Yeah.
Okay. So Marty's got the PowerPoint going here, so I'll let her roll through some of this with me as far as that goes. There was an active ladies auxiliary, later became a sisterhood, and also there was a men's club established. I think that picture right there on the far right is from 1937. Looking in that picture, I think at one time, I'm trying to see, I saw my dad in there at one time. I can't see with the other things in there, but he's in there.
This one's even older.
That one's even older, and I think that's the one that I saw. Yeah, that's my dad in there. I see him in there. And this picture down here at the bottom, I see some of those kids that actually I was serving as a teacher then, I think. I'm trying to see, but several of those kids, but always been on the same steps, it seems like, as far as that goes. The synagogue affiliated with United Synagogue in 1949. In 53, we added additional classrooms and social hall. 58, the first woman was elected to serve on the sisterhood board, which was my grandmother, which was the synagogue board, which was my grandmother. And when the first, actually, when the first synagogue was first built, there was a mahitza in there. I didn't know we had one.
Yeah, there was a mahitza.
Okay, so years ago they did have. What am I drawing a blank on? But there've been several things. Of course, it's evolved over time. You know, as you can see, the sanctuary there, we have beautiful windows in the sanctuary. Those were put in sometime late 60. I remember when those were being installed. Trying to see.
And we credit Steve Chanin for these beautiful pictures of the windows. Those are the ones I was talking about. Your buddy Steve did those, took those pictures. He didn't create the art. He just took the pictures.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Of course, today we're still very active with the Sunday school. And I've said we're very fortunate. We have 2 or 3 teachers on our Board of Ed and I keep saying these kids get a better Jewish experience as kids now than I ever had. They're doing some really neat stuff. It seems like every time I turn around, they've got a great exercise that they're doing with all kinds of fun things with learning. We've just been very fortunate with what we've had with the kids and the experience they're having now. I mean, one of the neat things this past year, we tried to come up with a unique program for Hanukkah. So, you know, all these kids were not in a big Jewish community. So all these kids are constantly seeing all the sweatshirts that all their friends have about Christmas. So we had a Hanukkah sweatshirt making party. And so that was a lot of fun. It's just different activities like that. And really, and I think Mike can speak to the same thing, coming from a small Jewish community. And, you know, you have to do the extra things when you are in a community this size for the kids and everything. And it's just very, very important that we do that. Additionally, we do have, we're doing lately, had really gotten in some neat cooking classes. Different members have been doing cooking classes. And actually, that was really this past year that started off. We had a great, you know, we said, why not? We're doing it. It's been a lot of fun, been very well received with what we've been doing with the cooking classes. We're very fortunate. Actually, one of the treasures we have on the right-hand side, you see several different special mezuzahs made for the different holidays. We have an artist who's one of our members, excuse me, yads, that I meant to say, the various yads for the different holidays and everything that we have there. And even the painting you see in the junior Cong room for the Ark, and even for the reading table and everything else, Laura Robinson. She was actually the art director at Camp Ramah for 20 years? Yeah. For like 20 years. Ramah Durham. She was the camp director up there doing the arts and crafts. And so we're very fortunate to have her. She actually lives down in Americus, Georgia. She's the head of the art department there, and she's been there for like 30 years. But what a treasure that she has joined our congregation, and she comes out with these magnificent pieces of art. We actually, and I forgot what the holiday was, so they actually brought in a mobile glass blowing studio. And all the kids got to do their own, well, they didn't do the blowing, but actually the kids got to do certain things. I forgot what holiday it was, but that was about 10 years ago. But it's been very, very fortunate with all that as far as the different things we've been able to do, but very fortunate to have her involved. Yeah. So, Marty, I'll let you talk about Macon. Since she formerly worked for the Chamber of Commerce, she can probably tell you more about Macon, even though I live here. So Macon is in the center of the state. We're about 90 miles south of Atlanta, as you guys probably already know. And our population is probably about 158,000 people. And I mean, it's just a beautiful city. It really is. It's a small town, but it's vibrant and exciting. And lately, in probably the last 6 or 8 years or so, our downtown has exploded. Now, both synagogues are located in downtown Macon. And I don't foresee either congregation planning to move anytime soon. So we've really gotten to watch the explosion in our neighborhoods for our congregations, at least firsthand. Right now, there's probably about 850 people living in loft apartments in downtown Macon, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot from LA. For Macon, that's pretty big. And so there've been lots of new apartments and buildings that used to be retail space or whatever that have been turned into loft apartments. So that's pretty exciting. And of course, where that goes, retail and restaurants follow. So that's been a lot of fun to watch. Macon has a lot of natural resources that make it an ideal place to be. We have Lake Tobosoffke just outside of town, and great big homes, and all of the things that go with lake living. We have a river runs through it. So we're pretty excited about the Mogi River. There's been a real push to clean it a lot, and we have this beautiful river walk. Down in the bottom right corner is a picture of that. And
that's just really come out in the last couple of years. They created a park there basically, and it's very walkable and bike rideable and just a wonderful age-friendly and bike-friendly place to be. And our downtown, like I said, has tons of new restaurants, and there's music all the time in downtown Macon, so that's a lot of fun. Macon, of course, started, only about, I think, the Okmulgee Mounds National Historic Park, which just became a national park in the last year and a half. Actually, that piece of property on the just outside of downtown Macon was established about 17,000 BCE. So it's been around for a really long time. And the burial grounds that are there and the other aspects that make it just a really cool place to go see, walk around. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to be part of our tour when you guys come to Macon. So
it's Native American, correct? Burial grounds?
Correct.
Say that again?
Native American burial.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Native American burial grounds. They also, there's a big Okmulgee Indian festival every fall. And of course, the Native Americans who were here were the Creek Indians, but also Seminole and Cherokee and Chickasaw nations all come for the festival in the fall. And it's a really cool festival. Some of the companies that are here in Macon, of course, the biggest employer in the state is Warner Robins Air Logistics Center, which is just outside of Macon, Warner Robins, Georgia. But we have Geico, which is a major employer here. Everybody loves their Geico. YKK, if you look at your pants on your zipper, you got a YKK zipper. If chances are 90% of you have YKK zippers on your
I do.
See, there you go. Well, they're out. Their only home base outside of Japan is here in Macon. We have lots of other companies that have located here, so that's pretty exciting. And we also have a huge university and college. It's kind of like a big college town here, which is a lot of fun. The very first college that was chartered to grant degrees to women is Wesleyan College. That was established back in 17 something. What does it say? I can't remember.
It says 1836.
Okay, 1830. That's when it was. And then we have Middle Georgia State University and Mercer University here, which Mercer has been growing a lot in the last several years. They also have a medical school, which feeds our hospitals, which is great, and an engineering school, which is fantastic, and a law school, which means that Macon has more than its share of lawyers, just so you know. But in addition to that, one of the other big industries here is our health industries. The hospitals here are huge, and because south of here, a lot of the smaller communities in the southern part of the state send their patients here to Macon for treatment. In fact, we've seen a lot of COVID patients from smaller communities throughout the state recently. So some of the other cool things that happen in Macon, we have the largest number of Yoshino cherry trees outside of Japan. I know people think Washington has a big cherry blossom festival, but we have 350,000 Yoshino cherry trees, which is more than Washington. So our cherry blossom festival is about 10 years old. Oh, excuse me. It started in 82.
That's a lot over.
Yeah, sorry. It's a 10-day festival. It started in 82. So that's fun. We also have a Macon Film Festival that happens in the summertime. It's about a 4-day festival celebrating all kinds of independent films. Macon's become a hub for the film industry lately, which I know for you guys is no big deal, but for us it's a very big deal. We get mighty excited when Harrison Ford and Stanley Tucci and people like that come to town. We're just very happy. What else? You want to talk about Bragg Jam?
Well, one of the other ones that started, it's a Bragg Jam, which is a concert crawl that was actually started in memory of the two Bragg brothers who were unfortunately killed in an accident many, many years ago. And the guys, some of their friends, they loved music, so they wanted to get together. So once, it's the last weekend in July where they have, I want to say close to like 150 bands at like 10 locations. It's kind of a concert pub crawl. It's one of the I love the event. I mean, it's a lot of things and great music, and comes back to the whole thing of music and Macon. Some of the best musicians I've heard there.
Music and Macon.
Yeah, music and Macon. There you go. Go figure. But it is one of the things that the up and coming musicians, lots of times, I want to say like 7, 8 years ago, Zach Brown Band played just before they were about to hit it big. I know I've heard several different musicians that you hear that are on the borderline of about to break open big. But that's one of the, to me, one of the neat things we have that's going on still with the music industry and things of that nature is going on. Of course, we'd already talked about Little Richard, Otis Redding, Allman Brothers. Jason Aldean is actually from Macon. You know, just briefly speaking, I remember growing up as a kid, of course, Otis Redding, everybody loved to hear him. I mean, it was just a great thing. I came along at a great time when the Southern Rock era, I was still in high school. Mikey, you were already at college by then, I think. But it was a great time to be growing up and Macon with the whole Southern Rock era and everything, and just being able to hear certain things, see certain concerts. I still never forget going to see, used to be Don Kirshner's rock concert. Remember going Central City Park when they were filming that with Wet Willie, Marshall Tucker, and even now I see the thing. I'll never forget it because I skipped football practice that day and went and saw the concert. So I remember that one. One of the other things related to the Allman Brothers, of course, the big house, that is actually the house that they lived in when they were here. And when it came, that is a museum for the Allman Brothers. And so that's one of those things that came together. And, you know, you had all these people that were huge Allman Brothers fans that volunteered to come, roofers and everybody else that came to put the thing together. One of the neat things, the mushroom you see on the gate, of course, was cut out on the cutting table. My cousin, his facility, the steel, I mean, somebody said, "Can you do this?" He said, "Of course," you know, but that was actually cut out at General Steel. And of course they did the painting and all that. But it's just a neat place to go see. I think, Marty, you've held Dwayne's guitar inside there. Or whatever.
I did.
So,
I got to hold Dwayne's guitar. It was a special moment.
So, look, and again, of course, Southern Rock is a huge thing. I would highly suggest, if you really are into the Southern Rock era, Greg Allman's book, My Cross to Bear, is a phenomenal read as far as the whole thing about the band, the times, and everything else. And if you were ever involved in listening to music, I would highly suggest reading that book. I think one of the funnier comments was when you saw him one time, something about reading the book. And oh yeah, he was in Macon because he was playing at a concert in Atlanta, and he was at this restaurant that I was in, and I went up to him and talked to him because I'm like a stupid fan. And I said, I just came back from Israel and I carried your book with me. I was probably the only person in Israel walking around reading your book. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, I hope not." I felt pretty stupid. But anyhow, he was delightful. And we had a whole conversation about his writing. So anyhow, there are, as Leah mentioned, there's Capricorn Records, which was here and has recently, like in the last year, had a reopening. It was very exciting. And so these are some of the bands, Wet Willie, Percy Sledge, and Marshall Tucker Band, and so many others that were on the Capricorn record label. You want to talk about these guys? Yeah, of course. These are people, of course, Chuck Lavelle on the piano. He, for many years, was with the Allman Brothers and the band Sea Level. Some of you may remember. He has actually been the music leader, the head music director for the Rolling Stones for about the last 15 years now. So you will see him on stage lots of times as you see video of him. The other thing is you got Robert McDuffie, who's a world-renowned violinist, and he's actually come back to Macon and gotten very involved in the music department over at Mercer, and has endowed certain parts of it. The interesting thing, of course, the band REM, while the band wasn't based in Macon, you had Mike Mills and Bill Berry both in the band. Both of them were from Macon. And, you know, they both become, I mean, REM was very famous. Robert McDuffie in the music profession is very famous. Actually, Robert McDuffie and Mike Mills are the same age, and they went to high school together. And recently they did a concert with Chuck Lavelle all around the state, 3 or 4 locations. Unfortunately, something was going on and couldn't see it. But, you know, again, the whole thing with the music profession in Macon is still an unbelievable thing that we see on a regular basis.
So that's a little bit about Macon, and we really do hope that we get a chance to show you more when you guys make your way east.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for putting the time into this really excellent presentation. You covered all the bases. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and connect with Mike and Lawrence, and we're going to get a virtual tour. I would ask if you guys can, just so you can see better the synagogue, maybe make it where the speaker view on the right, because it might be easier. Oh, and I need to unmute them.
But I did want to tell you a couple of things first. First of all, we do, Marty, you forgot the greatest Macon LA connection of all was when the greatest thing we used to have was Cher riding around Macon in her convertible. Because y'all forget, Greg Allman married Cher.
That's true. That's true.
And it was a really big deal in Macon, Georgia, when Cher driving around in her convertible would show up at the Piggly Wiggly.
I thought you were going to talk about
Awesome.
Blake Clark.
No, well, Blake Clark too, but Cher, y'all forget, man, he was
Don't
married to
forget
Cher,
Cher.
and they had a love child, and so it's what a marriage that was. Anyway, so all right, let me see what I'm doing here. If I'm doing this right.
You do.
Let me see. I'm trying to get it where the single, how you did that. Let me see. There I go. Switch camera.
Looking at your thumb.
Switch to active speaker. There I go. Does that help? Do y'all, can y'all see? I'm going to flip it.
Okay, yeah, just turn it around.
I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Oh, I see. Hang on. Where is the flip?
We can see you now, Mike.
It's okay.
I'm trying. I know, but I'll just turn it around like this. And okay, let me tell you about the temple first of all. First of all, this temple was started in 1859. In 1859, think about that. There were only 33 states in the Union. Our flag only had 33 stars. The earliest Jews in Georgia settled in Savannah about 1733. They were 42 strong, representing about 20 families from Portuguese and other European refugees. And they brought with them a Torah, 2 cloaks, a prayer book, and a Hanukkah menorah, among other things. Macon was founded in 1823, and the earliest Jews in Macon came from France and Germany, escaping those revolutions. And if you think I know this by heart, I don't. I have notes. And our earliest burial grounds here in Rose Hill go back to 1844. And those cemeteries are still active today and are supported by the 2 Jewish congregations and our federation. In 1859, Macon was 10,000 people strong, of which 40% of them were slaves. Ladies were in hoop skirts. And about that time, 11 men got together and decided to form a Jewish congregation. And we have found the notes and have them in a leather binder somewhere. And the dues were going to be $50 a member, $25 if he was a daily laborer, or $12 for single men. And the ritual would be German Orthodox, but lectures would be in English and German. And so that was in 1859. And about 1872, they were getting tired. They had since moved down to Poplar Street, Elmo, where the cotton market was, and they forgot that on Saturday mornings, with no air conditioning, with the windows open, it was impossible to hold services with the cotton auction going on. And so they bought this piece of land in 1872. And now I'm going to take you up here real quickly, and I'm going to turn this around. Come on, Lawrence, you can help me. And I hope I'm going to be able to do this, and you'll be able to see it. But the original cornerstone of the congregation is, can you shine a light on that? Yeah, sure. There. And there you go. Marty, can you see it?
Yeah.
All right, you can see in 1872, they didn't use AD, it's AM, and this was the building committee. And I want you to notice one thing. This name right here, Samuel Lawrence, and what he was. He was the Grand Master, and I don't believe that was any institution besides the Masons who built this building.
Yeah.
And this building was started in 1872, but the actually building itself right here, this was the original cornerstone when they built this building for the basement. And then when they started to build the rest of it, and when did we start? 1902, which was almost a lot of years later, they put this in here in the foyer, and we started another one over there. But this building was built by the Masons. There's no question about that. And there's a lot of Mason influence in this building, you'll see. So one thing else I'll tell you is an interesting story is that you mentioned Mercy University. And Mercy University is a very Baptist college here in Macon. And when I was doing a study on when we had our sesquiennial in I guess that had been 2009, I found out that Mercy University, their endowment committee, lent the money to our congregation to build this sanctuary. So I went to the president of Mercy, Dr. Kirby Godsey, and I said, Dr. Godsey, could that be true? He said, not only could it be true, it's my favorite story. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, there was a man named Jesse Mercer, and he and his wife had these best friends. He said, I don't recall the name, but the best friend was a Jewish alcohol merchant. And that Jewish alcohol merchant and his wife were best friends with Jesse and his wife. And the alcohol merchant passed away and left all his money to his wife. And then Jesse's wife passed away. And at times had it back then, these best friends married each other's widows. And then Jesse's now wealthy wife passed away and left the money to Jesse. And he used that money to found Mercer University. And Kirby's favorite story is that Mercer University, a very Baptist college, was founded with money originally earned by a Jewish alcohol merchant. So there's some great story.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of give you a panoramic view of our synagogue. It's quite magnificent, actually, for a building that was built in 1902. And I'm standing in the back, and I hope y'all can give me direction as to what you can see. Marty, I can hear you or somebody talk.
Okay.
Are you
You're a
seeing
little
everything?
shaky. You're a little shaky. So if you
Okay.
could, just hold it
That
steady. and
Jewish
focus.
alcohol stuff.
I'm trying to pan around.
Yeah, you're good. Keep going around to your right.
So this is our congregation. It's
Beautiful
magnificent.
sanctuary.
And I'm going to walk up and now show you what we do at we say the eye of God is always watching us here in our sanctuary. And this is why.
Can you zoom in?
Let's see.
Oh,
I don't know how to get back to me, Marty, where I can zoom in.
It's all good. It's all good. Whatever makes it easier.
No. Let's see. Switch camera. There, I got that.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, hey.
There we go. So there you go. As you can see, I don't know whether you can see it or not, the eye of God, or there's an eye right there, and I cannot zoom.
Okay.
And,
We can see it.
And then, okay, good. I'll take you over to our stained glass windows, which the original stained glass windows built in 1902, and then we refurbished them about 15 years ago. And each one of them is magnificent in itself. They're actually very beautiful when of course you can see the memorials we have to our families. And this is my grandparents right there.
Huh.
Oh, wait.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's see. Where'd everybody go? And then here's another stained glass window. And another.
Don't trip over the pews.
And y'all tell me if you need me to slow down or go faster or go slower.
beautiful.
So the tablets actually have Roman numerals on them, correct?
The tablets, are you speaking of the windows or the
Right
tablets?
there in the windows.
Okay,
up at the
so
top.
You talking about the windows themselves? No. Each window has a story. For instance, this window has the Bible on it, right in the middle. Can you see that
That's
at all?
Roman numerals, correct?
I don't see any Roman numerals.
Okay. Maybe.
No, they look like, hold on, let me get closer. There you go, see? They're not really Roman numerals. It's just beautiful. This is the original stained glass from the 1900s. It's absolutely magnificent.
It really is. It's like Tiffany.
And then this one, excuse me, walking, y'all. Don't make anybody nauseous. It's a different colored one. And this one actually has the Star of David.
Yeah.
And I'm sure these people paid for the right for their name to be up there in 1908.
Yeah.
And then we have,
it cost at that time.
Yeah.
there's no telling.
I think they cost $10,000 to $15,000 per window to refurbish it.
Right. In 2008, we refurbished the windows at $15,000 a window.
Wow.
That was just to refurbish them. Okay, so now I'm going to take you up on our bema.
Whoop. Froze.
Everybody okay? And this is
Anybody
our
else
ark.
frozen? Everybody's.
This is the ark.
I don't know if that's us or them.
And above that is the everlasting light that always stays on.
Don't forget the organ upstairs.
We have a huge organ up in the choir loft up there that
Mike.
you can see that the pipe organ. It's absolutely magnificent. This is the view back towards the sanctuary. When I was a little boy growing up, and I grew up here, this place was packed. And so was Elmo's place.
Mm-hmm.
We had a huge Sunday school. They had a huge Sunday school.
How many members do you have now?
85.
85 to 90. About 85 to 90 families. Then there's more stained glass up behind there. Then back up in there is the Eye of God.
Amazing. There's also another feature I remember, the automatic arc doors.
Yes, well, come on, I'll do that. Hang on. All right. Whoop. Whoop.
Nice.
I didn't mean to close them that quickly, but there you go. That's how it opens. And here's our beautiful menorahs. I mean, our arcs have been there for. Somebody's asking, what happened to the communities during what?
I can't see.
The Civil War.
Well, you know, that's a great question. Hold on. Let me close it.
Why don't we get to that question when we jump into the Q&A?
Okay,
think-
that's cool.
One question that's pertinent to right now, what are the dues that you're
I'll let Lawrence answer that.
Whatever
it's
we can squeeze out of it.
What everybody's willing to pay.
I think it's maybe like 500 to 750, something like that.
500 to 750, depending on your financial.
Yeah. If you're single, like if you're out of town, it's like 250 to live out of town.
It's not a lot.
Yeah,
Our only expense pretty much is like theirs is the maintenance. You got to remember, we got a building that's 118 years old now. That's a monumentous expense for us is building. We have a rabbi. We have a rabbi now until
right. May 31st.
May 31st. I have a theory that we either we get our rabbi either on the way up or on the way out, and I don't mean that derogatorily. I just mean it very honestly. It's hard for us to keep good young people here, and so we had a guy about how long is Aaron? 3 years, and he's moving on. Where's he going? New York? Houston, Texas. So how do we compete with Houston, Texas? Or another rabbi we have is rabbi of the largest congregation in New Orleans, Louisiana. And then with Ed Cohn, and then where'd Astrakhan go?
I don't know.
At any rate,
Joel
so
Goldstein went out to Kansas City.
and right, and then we have another one in Kansas. That's right, where Ed Cohn went to Kansas City. I was a member of the biggest.
Yeah.
He ran that congregation out there. So
And the last rabbi we had before this one is now a city councilman. He's kind of almost retired. So it's hard for us to keep rabbis here. Sha'arey Israel's been lucky. They brought back the rabbi they had. And, but we're in searching for a rabbi, so if you know anyone, you know.
Rabbi Sadaloff is with you right now, correct?
Correct. Yes.
He's friends with our Rabbi Schatz.
Right. Love Rabbi Aaron. And I don't know where in Houston he's going. Do you?
Big temple out there.
The big temple, I think is a big temple out there. Somebody asked what temple, but I don't know the name of it.
1,600 families.
There's 1,600 families in Beth
School.
Yeshua.
Something, I'm not sure.
He doesn't know. I don't know either. But at any rate, that's where he's going to the big congregation out there. They'll love him out there. It's young, energetic.
Yep.
Great writer. Great
Got
writer.
a dog. Works with kids very well. And but this is just a congregation of our temple, and we have a we have a place in the back with a kitchen and a Sunday school and a stage, and so.
I will
cool
add,
place.
we're going to, this summer, we're going to put up a historical marker out in the temple. Because a lot of people walk by and say, what's the history of the temple? I said, well, you know what? Why don't we put a marker up? We have a gentleman with the Historical Jewish Society. He's going to donate this beautiful monument. We're going to put it out there. So when you walk by downtown Macon, you'll know who we are and how long we've been here. So that's the plan anyway. So.
Amazing. You know, Lawrence, I actually did meet you while I was there. We stopped by the synagogue real quick, and I got the chance to say hello. But yeah, I recognized you. It was,
okay.
But
When was
July, when it was super hot.
Yeah.
Oh,
You were walking out when we were coming in.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Vaguely remember. Yeah.
Well, why don't we open up for questions and answers? I'm going to touch upon the questions that have already been asked. So one of them is actually about the cemetery. If you could share a little bit about that, which I saw, which is beautiful.
Well, actually, Evan, and y'all can chip in too. We have several cemeteries here in Macon. We have one famous cemetery called Rose Hill. And Rose Hill, there's actually something in here about that.
Where's that book?
Rose Hill Cemetery, we had a guy named William Wolf come through ours because we ran out of space to bury the Jews down at Rose Hill Cemetery, and this gentleman bought part of the cemetery and donated it to the temple, this temple. And so this temple was able to have the burial ground at Rose Hill Cemetery called William Wolf Cemetery. And then later on, Sha'arey Israel bought a portion of Rose Hill Cemetery for the Orthodox and conservative burial ground. We have a Jewish paupers cemetery down at the bottom of Rose Hill. And then we have an old cemetery where these people from 1844, we don't know, we can't find any family. I mean, these people just from the 1800s, we can't find them. And
Is that the Workman Circle?
No, that's a different one. That's a different one.
Oh, okay.
right, no. This is down the hill on the right, like you're going to the Confederate Memorial Cemetery, it's on the right. And so that's what takes care of that. And we have a foundation here in Macon that takes care of those two cemeteries. But that was the answer on the cemetery. It is a big cemetery called Rose Hill. And so that's where the two cemeteries are. If that was the question, I hope that answers it.
Yes, thank you.
In addition to that, there was actually the Workman Circle Cemetery, which is a very small one. Mike, when you come up underneath the arches before you turn up to William Wolf Cemetery, right down the right, there's a very small one there, which was part of, I mean, it was a whole Jewish group, Workman Circle, that I don't know, there's probably 20 or 30 graves there, socialist type group, but there's a whole cemetery there that still exists. I mean, no one's been interned in there in years, but I don't even think there's any spaces. But actually, Shelley Davidson's grandparents are in there.
Very cool.
So, what is the overall racial ethnic demographic of Macon?
I can tell you
I'll be right back.
Macon-Bibb County merged several years ago. So we went from having a city-county government to a consolidated government. Consolidated government, I'm going to guess, Marty and Elmo, you can help me, is fairly close to a 55-45 African-American to white, or white, pretty close.
Yeah.
I think the majority of Macon, its city itself is majority African-American. The county is not. Elmo, you may want to throw something in.
No, I think that's about right. That's very close to what I know as far as the numbers on that. Chip, if you're on, you probably know. I think my brother was actually on. He probably knows as much as that as anything because he'd been involved with it. But that's about the correct demographics of what we've got.
Right.
Like I said, the merge government just happened. What, 5-6 years ago, Mike?
Yes. It's been 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so that's our split up as far as
that question.
What's that?
I said Google knows the answer to that question.
Right. Yeah.
So with everything that's going on right now, when are in-person services? Where are you guys at in terms of bringing members back and doing services?
Zoom.
We've had 3 Zoom services. Probably going to do at least 2 more, I would think. I would think probably not until we get into mid-May where we're going to, open it back up. Just, we have a lot of members who are getting up in age, as I say, and we don't want to take any chances. So probably we're looking at mid-May, I would think.
And Marty and Elmo, how many members do you have at your community? We're
probably very similar to Temple. We're probably around 100 members, 95 to 100 members. It fluctuates from year to year, but it stays in that same range. And that's the ballpark range what we have right now.
Not individuals, family units.
Family units. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Family units. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. And what is the percentage of Jews in Macon who actually affiliate with the synagogue? Is it the majority of them? Is it a portion or?
That's a good question. And Mike, maybe you can help me with it.
Well, it depends. It depends on who you ask. My mother thinks that there are hundreds and hundreds out there that we're not reaching. If we're doing anything, I think that I would say a majority of the Jews in this town affiliate with either us or Sha'arey Israel, period. We have several Messianic temples in Macon as well, just to throw that out there. These are the people that, that think they're Jewish. And so we have several of those that are actually very big congregations. And then if we fall down, it's maybe at the base. Warner Robins, 20 minutes from both of us, or 30 minutes, is the largest logistics Air Force base in the world. 25,000 civilian employees. I don't know how many other employees. And maybe there's some guys out there we're missing, but, if somebody wants to join be a member of a congregation, they'd be here. And the reason I know that is you can always tell if you're missing somebody because they all show up for High Holy Days. And if you see people that are here for High Holy Days that aren't normally here, then maybe they're prospective members, but we just don't see people showing up that aren't members. Not a lot of Jews clamoring to move to Macon, Georgia.
Well, and I agree with Mike. I'd venture to say you probably got 70% affiliated either with the synagogue or the temple. There may be as much as 30% not affiliated with either entity. And that's just, and it actually still surprises me when, from time to time you run into people, 3 or 4 here or there that show up in the last year that we didn't realize, oh yeah, I just didn't affiliate with anything as far as that goes. Mike made a comment as far as, people move in the middle of Georgia, where you have had a decline in Jewish population. I think Macon is ripe to see growth, not just in the Jewish community, but the greater community. One of the strengths we have is the highway systems and infrastructures we have here. You still have the Port of Savannah that's about to explode with growth. And I think you're going to start seeing more growth in Macon and Middle Georgia than what we've seen in the past. And with that, that's going to you'll continue to see more Jewish people come into this community. And hopefully we can make it a vibrant enough community to where they want to stay here. I think, we all work together to do what we can to have we've done some really joint great services here in the last year.
Right.
It's
Done
been
a lot of
of fun. And, you know, I think it attracts a lot of people for us to have great things together.
Yeah, after the Pittsburgh incident, the horrible thing that we had I mean, it's unbelievable. Elmo, you were here. People were in the aisles or on the steps. I mean, they were clamoring to get in. It was incredible.
Wow.
It was an incredible service.
It was a beautiful service.
Yeah, it was a beautiful service. And I got to tell you, it was really heartwarming. And I don't even know how you put it into words, the support we had from the non-Jewish community and the reach out we had from people when that happened that said, we're behind you and we'll support you in whatever you need.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
I'm not telling them that.
Yeah.
Also, your communities work together through the religious school. If you'll touch upon that. You partner, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Correct.
We do. I mean, it's worked fairly well. I mean, you know,
We don't have enough kids to support one.
And by the same means, probably if we, and anybody that's taught knows as well as anybody that, you know, when you got 2 kids in a class trying to put together a program, it's tough to do. But when you got 3 or 4, all of a sudden things seem to work better. And so you have a pretty good mix that mixing together, this is one of those things that works really well together.
Right. And like our rabbi teaches Hebrew and goes over there and teaches as well, I believe, doesn't he, Marty?
Yeah, he
No,
did.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
You
a
asked about-
relationship?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said someone asked about the Civil War, and I'll throw that in. What did we do to the Civil War? Well, we fought during the Civil War. Macon Zavolf had said when the German artillery company was organized in Macon by American citizens of German birth, many young sons of the Congregation Beth Israel. The battery included Private B. Nordlinger, who had taken over the post of Haas on it, $25 a year. And so, I was reading the other day that when the war was over, temple dues, which had been in Confederate money, was now adjusted the rate of 20 Confederate dollars for $1 US. And so that's how much Confederate money became worth. But I was reading the other day about a gentleman by the name of Gus Byrne, whose family was one of the founders here, and said that his great-great-grandfather during the Civil War was injured, fought during the Civil War, was injured in Virginia and walked home. That's all the notes he had, was that he walked home from Virginia back to Macon, Georgia, which was pretty cool. So, yeah, we fought in the Civil War, I guess.
And then there's always a question, did Jews own slaves in Macon?
I can't answer that. I have no idea. I don't think any of them had enough money to own slaves, I'll be honest. You know, you got to remember now that slaves were freed in 63. 63, the slaves were free. And so I'm not sure. The first Jews, when did they come here?
1840.
And Macon wasn't founded in 1823. And so this congregation was founded in 59. So, you know, I doubt it. I haven't seen any record to that effect. I don't think any of them had enough money to own slaves. They probably weren't allowed to own slaves.
Is there a relationship between the Atlanta Federation and the Macon community?
Say that again?
Is there a relationship between the Atlanta Federation and the Macon community?
Not really. I mean, I think we all have relationships with different, I mean, we have the Macon Middle Georgia Federation, of course. We're considered part of one of the small communities of Federation organization. But I mean, I think we all have relationships with people in Atlanta all the time. If something's going on, we reach out to them. I mean, Mike's got several of his fraternity brothers that are still living up in Atlanta, and we're all still good friends. I mean, we stay in touch with each other fairly well.
What, it's like 2 hours unless there's traffic.
Hour.
But it's like
Hour.
Oh, an
An
hour.
hour and 10 minutes.
It's between an hour and 3 hours.
Correct. An hour and 5 hours, depending on the traffic in Atlanta. Seriously. I can get to the Atlanta airport in an hour and 15 minutes with no traffic.
Yeah, that's right.
You mentioned Messianic. Is there a strong effort to try to evangelize, or are others respectful of distinctions?
Oh, they're extremely respectful of the distinction. They don't come over here and try to take our members at all.
But they do attend services.
They
and
come
events.
to our services and events.
They show up at services.
Yeah, absolutely.
probably one of the bigger things that, it's really been interesting, particularly with our
They give
Purim
us
school.
money.
Yeah.
They give us money. That's the good part. And lots of it.
Wonderful.
That's nice.
I'm serious.
Yeah, they turn out in droves for our Purim spiel. When we
Right.
do the Purim spiel each year, the temple members are invited as well, but then all these people from the Messianic churches.
It's unbelievable. Right.
And that's the way it should be.
Purim spiels.
I mean, if you look at downtown Macon, you have the temple here, you have the Catholic Church like a block away, then you have the African American Baptist Church, the white Baptist Church, well, not white, but predominantly white. Then you have, within a quarter mile, you've got every religion in the world down here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat.
Amazing. And then I want to ask a question. Also, by the way, Marty put together this amazing playlist that I walked to last night. I'm going to put it in the chat. Oh, wait.
Spotify playlist.
Okay, here we go.
Any Islamist?
And we have Thunder.
I think we have.
Well, we just,
We don't have I don't think we have your question, was there any Islamists? I don't know. We have a Muslim community, but not a.
Oh, sure. We have a substantial Muslim community.
Right,
And
that's what I thought. Right.
the Interfaith Women's Alliance has different, I'm sure you remember that. I mean, they're all meet a lot,
Right.
once a month at least.
It seems like in the South, interfaith relations is especially important, and it seems to happen rather frequently.
It does
Yeah.
here. We have joint community. We have joint Thanksgiving services. We have, I'm telling you, Israel. It's all kinds of services with Christians and Jews.
Yep.
Really
Yeah.
We're I'm telling you, it's
Normally we would have had a big Yom HaShoah event,
right.
and which would have been attended by people from all
Ever.
different faiths.
Oh, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna unmute Gabe Kramer because he has a question for you, Elmo.
Okay.
Gabe, you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Sure.
Yes.
Elmo, you mentioned is it your brother or your cousin Chip?
He's my brother.
So you guys are in the scrap business, right?
We are.
Yeah, my brother knows Chip pretty well. I think we're one of a big scrapyard out here in LA.
Chip's on the call now.
There's Chip right there. I
yeah,
see
he's-
Chip's right above you.
yeah,
Oh wow. Okay. Hey,
the
Chip.
other Brady Bunch kid.
And that would be Doug Kramer, right?
That's right, sir. That's my oldest brother.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I know Doug.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Tell him Steve Leviton says hello too.
I will certainly.
Hey,
Good to see
Chip.
you guys.
It is kind of interesting that,
Hey, Chip.
it is interesting because, like I said, and Steve remembers this, how many members of the scrap community industry are Jewish. I never forget going to a meeting of the Georgia Scrap Association in Atlanta one time, and someone was asked to give the blessing before the meal, and he said the hamotzi. So the reality is that's still one of my fond memories. And someone said, why is it there were so many Jews in the industry? And it was when many of the immigrants came to this country and could not get their union trade card, they would pick up stuff that no one else would do because they couldn't get a job. And that's how it got started, that so many of them were in the industry.
That's right. But sadly, not so much with the younger generations, right? It hasn't been passed down as much, I think, in recent generations.
Correct.
When Elmo and I started going to conventions, national convention, there used to be a box that you could check if you wanted kosher meals. But that's how Jewish the industry was.
That's
Amazing.
right.
Do you know Ronnie Leet by any chance in Selma? He's also in the industry. We're going to meet with him next week.
Wait, what's his name?
Ronnie Leet, Leet.
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay, so I think, hold on one second. I have just two more questions. One is, so downtown, there were a lot of Jewish-owned stores, correct? Merchants?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
And what are some of the names that are still on the buildings?
Dannenberg.
Yeah, and the Kessler Building,
Kessler Building.
which now
Dannenberg
has a great
Building.
bourbon bar.
What about the Dannenberg Building?
Oh my God, yes. The Dannenberg, the
Um,
Kessler building, the Byrne building, the
Burned, B-E-R-N-D, Burned building.
Gotcha.
They were tanners. That's about it.
but there were a number of retail, and there still are several.
Right.
You know, from pawn shops to clothing stores to what else?
My
Jewelry stores.
great-grandfather started, my great-grandfather, H.D. Kaplan, who was here, married to Fanny, and Fanny brought in her brothers and sisters to help raise them at the time. And he got them all in the furniture business, which was Empire Furniture Company downtown, and Union Furniture Company downtown, the Levines, and then Sidney Backer Furniture Company, and then the Beckers at Union Furniture Company. So there were 4 of these furniture companies downtown owned by the same family, and they were more in the finance business than they were in the furniture business, by the way. And all of them are gone. Well, not all of them. Union Furniture is still
Union
around.
is still there.
Union is still here. It's the only one left.
KB.
Empire Furniture was the other one. It was Empire, Backer, Union, and so.
Yep.
So my last question, since we're in downtown right now, talking about downtown, can you, Marty, share about the train station and also the club that was only for African Americans that's like right across the street?
Well, so the train station, the terminal station in downtown Macon, obviously that was quite a hub. And when they've refurbished it and they've done a lot of work to it, they left the sign purposely so it's sort of a we should not forget that over, and I could find a picture of it. It says for coloreds only.
It's colored entrance.
Colored entrance, right. And that was the entrance for the waiting area for blacks only, whereas the main entrance was for whites. Across the street from there now is the Harriet Tubman Museum. It's this, I don't know, Mike, maybe you know, or Lawrence, the largest in the
Yes,
South?
it's the Harriet Tubman African American Museum, probably our largest African museum in the South.
In the South,
no
I think
question.
it is that right?
And they had that colored entrance boarded for a long time, all through the 60s and 70s, and then finally someone in the African American community did not want history covered up, and so it's unboarded now. It's actually owned by the Georgia Power Company, and Elmo, doesn't Georgia Power own it?
I think they still own it. Yes.
Yeah, Georgia Power owns it, and it's a bus terminal. It was a thriving terminal station. You got to remember now, we were the hub. We had trains. You got to where we are. We're dead central Georgia, and so all trains came through Macon to get to Atlanta and Savannah and Florida and Alabama, and we were the big track. We were the big where trains were changing, and we still are for commercial trains.
Great, yeah, You've
They used
got
to have big
Boston
train
Yard,
manufacturers. They're remnants downtown of the old Elmo, near where y'all are, the old train station where they built the trains.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, Macon's still a central hub. Actually, most people don't realize how big a hub that Macon is. Someone told me with Norfolk Southern, there's close to 120 trains a day moving in and out of the city. It's
Bronson Yard.
Southern and
Bronson Yard.
In the right place, you can see them going in and out all day. But one of my fond memories as a kid growing up, we used to have the passenger train. We used to have the Nancy Hanks that we would ride between Macon and Atlanta. When it'd be Teacher's Day off, we'd take the train up for the day and go shopping at Rich's.
15 stops along the way.
Huh?
15 stops along the way.
That's right. That's right.
Stopping like Barnesville, Griffin.
I'm just gonna show real quick the image of
Find it.
Yeah, here. So on the right, you'll see the plaque that's on the terminal station, and then so you'll also see the terminal station there. It's on the very left-hand corner.
It's over here. It's over here.
Oh, yeah.
On the left-hand side, yeah. If you're looking at the building, it's down on the left. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
There's the main, the picture below, you see the main entrance. It's over to the left of the main entrance where you're looking at. Oh, take your mouse
just like right here.
over, right there. Yes, right in there.
So, and then Marty, if you'll just share about we'll end on this, the theater across the street, the concert hall.
Trying to
The
remember.
Music Hall of Fame,
Oh,
and the Sports Hall of
Well, the
Fame.
Music Hall of Fame. That,
Mm,
what,
No,
the,
no, where the African American musicians.
Douglas
No,
Theater.
the Douglas Theater March.
Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
Right, the Douglas.
Right.
Which is where
Well,
Lena Horne started at the Douglas.
That's right.
Oh, well, you left her off the list. She was from Macon, Lena Horne.
Ah.
Fort Valley. Well, she lived in Macon too. She also lived in Fort Valley. And you're right, I did leave her off the list. What do y'all know? Tell about the Douglas, Lawrence.
Well, it was started by a guy named Charles Douglas, who was a multimillionaire and African-American millionaire. It was used, I'm trying to be gentle how I say that there was an African-American section of town, and that's where the theaters were and hotels and that part of the town. And that's where a lot of, Otis Redding performed there, I believe, Little Richard. And I think after integration, it kind of fell in disrepair, and it was closed for a number of years. I remember going in there when it was completely gutted out, and I said, man, this is going to be a big job for somebody. And luckily, the state of Georgia stepped up, funded the total renovation of the place. It's a beautiful, and it looks like it's something out of the 20s. It really is a really neat, very small but anyway, and it's in use today. So that's what I know about it.
Right. But for a long time, it was only available to for the African American community to. No whites would have gone in there back in the day.
Right. Correct.
Gotcha. Someone, when they were a kid, Barbara got a Lena Horne's autograph, and she was very excited. She just shared that.
Wow.
Good. For Fort Valley, actually, you're right, but she sang a lot here in Macon.
She did. She did.
I saw Lena Horne perform live in Palm Springs. Jeff did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Saw him in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody has any more comments, or if the four of you, if you have any other things you feel are important that.
Yeah. If y'all could send us some corned beef. You got to remember, we get our corned beef at the Kroger, and it's round, top round, and we don't have anybody that does corned beef brisket. So if you'll just forward that to Marty, you'll call me when he gets here. We'll have a corned beef sandwich.
I'll cook. No problem.
Thank you.
Mike, I got a pastrami going on the smoker next week. I'll fix it up, baby.
I do have a question. Most of y'all are on the coast, West Coast, right?
Correct.
What's the impression of the Jewish people in the South? I mean, we're all part of one big group, but there's got to be. You look at the South, like, wow, they'd be a little different than we are out here. Is it, or how do you? They talk a little different. They have a little different professions. How
Does anyone want to answer that? What's your? I want to know what your impression is. Barrett, you want to answer?
Me? No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, Bernie
does. Bernie Gower does.
Okay. Let's hear from Bernie.
I was raised in Memphis, but my grandparents lived in Atlanta, and I told Marty that my roommate in college was Steve Chanin, who you all know, I'm sure. So I think basically people who don't have the Southern experience, they just can't believe that there's Jews in the South.
Right.
Or even people in New York can't believe there's Jews in Atlanta. That's just the way it is in these big Jewish enclaves. But I think the important thing, the take-home message for me, is the solidarity and the richness of the Jewish life of people. Memphis and Atlanta are excluded, the big cities, but in the little towns, they really have a great, rich Jewish life. It's somewhat difficult. I met the rabbi at the conservative shul. He was in Memphis when my father was still alive, and I know he was happy going back to Macon, I think, and being
He is.
I know he's very happy there. And I know that I've been involved in Jewish communal life. I know it's hard for rabbis to go to those communities. There's no Jewish day schools for their kids, and it's sort of hard. So, I think whenever I get a chance to defend Jews in small towns, I always tell them, there's a lot of Jewishness going on.
You gotta really want to be a Jew to live in a small town.
Yeah, someone just. Go ahead. Sorry.
In my
and that takes me back to the corned beef, by the way, what you just said. Helping
Mike,
out a fellow Jew.
Mike, you can probably relate to this too. I think one of the strongest Jewish building stones for myself was being in Jewish fraternity in Athens and meeting that time. We've got lifelong friends that are in. Look, you got to realize I'm president of our shul. Mike's been president there. Phil Perlis, who's president.
Lawrence is president.
Yeah, Lawrence is president. Yeah, and we got people president of all the small congregations, and most of them went the Jewish fraternity route. And it's amazing to me how many people developed in that thing. Steve was an API also, so that we developed, our Jewish leadership abilities in that organization. And I think it's between Jewish camps and Jewish fraternities and sororities, I think it's one of the best things that really, for people in the small South, it really makes a huge difference.
I think
Made a big point. Going to API and being around Georgia was the first time in my life I'd been around nothing but Jews.
Yeah. Well,
And that's all I hung out with, Jews.
Camps, I think, make a tremendous difference in our kids' lives.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gabe Kramer's going to chime in, and I think we're going to conclude there.
Okay, perfect.
Here, go ahead, Gabe.
Sure. I was going to say the same thing. I went to school at Brandeis University, and, coming cross country, it was the first time I had met Jews from all over, including the Midwest and the South. I met, I know there's a huge Jewish community in Atlanta. I met quite a few that went to Brandeis. So yeah, that was an eye-opening experience. And I think that narrows your scope and it puts things into perspective. And it's realized Jews are Jews wherever we live.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll conclude with this. AJ Happel said, since I grew up in a small town, I'm from a small town with a dwindling Jewish community. I am always impressed with communities that work hard and successfully hold it. So we can tell, the four of you really are deeply committed to your community and are proud. And we're just so grateful that, we can come to you and learn, and you guys are all in, you're very committed, and hear your story. And it's inspiring. It really is. Wow. This was such a pleasure. It really was. And by the way, so people can't access the link, the Spotify link. I'm happy to, if you want to email me, send it. It's a great list. Please do email me. And we're about to go to Atlanta tomorrow. So do you guys go to Atlanta often?
A lot.
Used to pre-pandemic.
Well, until about 60 days ago, I did.
Yeah.
My son lives up there, so we go visit him all the time. So,
Which synagogues are you going to in Atlanta?
Well, we're actually going to is it Bremen?
Bremen.
The Bremen
Museum.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is based out of Federation.
Right.
If I can get a hold of Leanne, she was one of the county commissioners of one of the biggest counties.
She was the chairwoman of DeKalb County for 8 years.
So I'm hoping to get her on there as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll mention one more thing. This Sunday, so if you want to screen the film Fried Green Tomatoes, we're doing a 4 p.m. Zoom call with Michael Berlin, and we're being joined by two women from Columbia, South Carolina. They started the Kugels and Collards blog, and then we're having Hyman. I don't know his first name. He has, I don't know if you guys been to Hyman, Charleston. It's the famous seafood restaurant. So they're going to give us fried green tomato recipes and give feedback on the film, and just, everyone's going to go home with some recipes. But with all that said, it's been such a pleasure. And Marty, you are so awesome. It's just been such a pleasure connecting.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Look forward to getting y'all here one time.
I hope we do.
We will.
One last question.
That's the plan. So.
One last question. How many members do you have at your shul in LA?
It's going to blow your mind.
Families.
Good question. I mean, I think it's around 1,100 families.
Can we borrow a couple hundred?
So,
That's close to what we've had.
There was one family who was with us briefly who actually just moved to Macon. He was in the military, African American.
The herds.
Yes.
Yes, they're great.
Yeah.
That's what I told you, the bay. They're at the base.
Yeah.
So they're
all the good
lovely.
people go to the shul. They don't come over here.
Well, with that said,
thank you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you for your time. And everybody, can you do jazz hands or something? We're all thanking you. This was so lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
Y'all take care.
Take
Nice
care
talking
now.
to you.
Wash your hands. Stay healthy.
As we say down
Bye,
south,
Elmo.
shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Bye, Elmo. Now we can
All
talk.
right.
Now we can talk. Hey, y'all. Now
Bye,
we can talk
Skippy.
natural. Hey, now we can talk for real, right? We ain't got to fake our
Clean.
accent
Keep
no
it clean.
more, do we? Are we done faking the accent? Oh, I didn't know you still on the call.
Elmo, Marty, good to see y'all.
Good to see
Levitan,
you,
wait a minute.
Steve.
Don't-
Take
Steve.
care. Give
Don't we know
Janice
him
our
from
love.
somebody in
I
Atlanta?
will.
Levitan, don't I know him from Atlanta or somebody from
Yeah.
Atlanta?
That's me.
Yeah, but
Leanna Levitan.
how would he know it? Do you know, does he know the Burnberries and all them too?
Of
Sure.
course he does.
Sadly. I mean, yes, of course he does.
Eddie? Levitan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know Eddie?
Eddie Burnbury.
Right.
Steve,
Is-
are you still on here?
Yes.
Where's that? Steve,
you
Eddie
please-
was my
please keep
roommate
in
at Georgia
touch
for
with
4
Leanne?
years.
Yeah. Leah, I can help you with that. Sure.
Perfect.
Hey, Steve, Eddie was my
Yes.
roommate at Georgia. Eddie was my roommate
Really?
at Georgia for 4 years.
Well, his dad was our accountant.
Henry's
Yeah.
still alive.
Yeah.
We're bouncing out. Bye, you guys. It was
Steve,
fun.
Henry's still
See ya.
around, and I talk to Eddie every day.
Yeah. I know him well.
Well, good. I'll
From
tell
way
him you said
back.
hello.
Please.
I'll tell him. I will. I'll tell
Yeah,
him you said hello.
it's been a long time since I've seen him, but
Yeah, Henry's still around. He's 94, and he's like my mom. He's locked up in a house
yeah.
because they're not coming out.
Well, and Liana's been pretty well
Sure.
locked up.
Yeah, and we're trying. My mother, 94-year-old mom, she's not leaving the house. She's a treasure. And so
Yeah.
we just drop stuff off at the front door and leave it. I'm finally
Yeah,
going to get to
Liana-
find out her. The only good thing is I get to finally find out her real hair color.
We're seeing a lot of that.
Still a lot of that. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much.
All
Thank
right.
y'all for doing
Take
this.
care now.
Bye, Steve. See
Leah,
y'all
if
later.
you'll, I sent you Liana's phone number.
Terrific.
That's her home number.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
if you send me your number, I'll try to get y'all together. We're going to
Here,
be
I'm gonna message you privately my cell
Okay.
phone number.
good.
Here we go. 10:44. There we go. Bye, Vered. Bless you, Dr. Barbara.
Leah, this is great. Thanks.
Terrific. Hope to see you in Atlanta.
See you soon.
Hi, Dr.
Thank you,
Barbara.
Leah.
Oh,
Bye.
I want to tell the two of you.
Yeah.
I talked to Yusuf the other day. We're
Oh,
going to
really?
do a Zoom call with him. He's been quarantined. Do you remember visiting his house?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
So he's been there for like a month now. Him and the family have not
I
left.
thought he's in Israel.
No, he's in he was in Israel, but he's in Morocco now. I don't know if it was 30
really?
days. It's been a significant amount of time. There, only one person can leave at a time. That's the law. I think the law. But he's been doing a cooking show online. I was like, maybe you could do it for us, or maybe we'll just all schmooze. It'd be great to get Morocco.
I think it's a great idea.
We're gonna do it. And he's so charming. Well, it'll be great. So
Leah.
yeah,
that would be cool. And Leah,
yes.
those two synagogues that those people saw, are they all reforms, conservative, or mixture, or what are they?
So Marty and Elmo are they're a conservative synagogue, and then the Reform synagogue was the one we had
The two men.
yeah.
One is called Beth Israel, and the other one I don't know, but doesn't matter.
Is Sha'arey Israel.
Oh,
So the
Sha'arey
one-
Israel.
Hold
Yeah.
it, but the one that we saw was the reform. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And are we
Our
going to
hope
see
is
that
to
one?
go to the conservative.
Yeah, I wanted to tell him that you probably didn't see me. You know, they're asking what it's like what do we consider the South Jews to be? You know, I grew up in San Francisco, which was actually a small Jewish community compared with, say, New York or Los Angeles. So we never even thought about the South having any Jews because, God, we hardly had any compared to those areas. It's kind of an interesting question that they asked when trying to think about it.
How cool is this? Are you guys enjoying it?
Yeah, is there any way,
Tremendously.
I missed the, yes,
Tremendously.
are you taping these things, Leah?
I am taping them.
How can I see yesterday's in the first half of today's? I got mixed up on time today.
Well, the plan is to, create like some sort of, upload them all to YouTube. And then you can access all of them.
Oh,
So-
good. And you'll do that after the whole series is done, so they're all together?
Yeah. I'm going to
Cool.
do that. But I'm so glad you're enjoying. This is so cool.
I have no words to tell you. It's for us. I've never been there. I don't know anything about those places. Nothing. Zilch. What an education. And I'm taking notes. And then after that, I'm researching some stuff by myself.
Amazing. And I want to give you the email address of Nora Katz, and you can CC me and just mention, she's with the Institute of Southern Jewish Life.
Right.
Just mention that you have interest in, supporting in some sort of way.
Yes.
And connect there. But yeah, this has been so cool. I'm so thrilled that you guys are enjoying
It's
it.
fantastic that you were able to do this. It really is.
Well, everybody has been so lovely and like, yes, absolutely, we'll do this. And there's a, I think they're excited to be able to give a window and share and tell their story.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
Definitely.
but
they don't like to talk much about the slaves that some of the first families were having, so that is something I don't know.
Those guys may not know that there were Jews. I mean, we heard 2 days ago that there were slave owners in Jews.
Yes.
And maybe they didn't know. I mean, and they said like the town was a relatively new town, and maybe they didn't have, but maybe just these gentlemen didn't know. I don't know that they were trying to hide anything.
I think a part of it is like when we were in Selma, Ronnie was mentioning there wasn't a KKK there. And then we saw the memorials of the Grand Duke Wizard in their cemetery. So I don't know if there's a disconnect or it's not the best. It's not, when I've asked, it's not the most favorite question because
It's dirty laundry. I don't think that any Southerner really likes to talk about that sort of part of history, especially when you're not a fellow Southerner, in my experience. And I've been at the receiving end of some harshness as it pertains to that. Now, there were a lot of Jewish slave owners. In fact, where my father lives in southern Georgia, every plantation is now a golf course or a trailer park except one, which is a historical landmark. It's called Rothwell Plantation, and it was owned by Jews, and they don't like to talk about it. Nobody likes to talk about it. No one wants to talk about the War of Northern Aggression, and nobody even likes to talk about Jews.
Talk about the Shayulem Avadim.
We are, as Jews, and I guess as like kind of urban Jews, we're typically very open about our pain and all sorts of stuff. And I think in my experience, I'm a New York Jew, so I can go anywhere basically, including the South. And I've been to the South, and I've put my foot in my mouth many, many times, trying to investigate the culture of our people down there. It's a touchy subject, so it's a little bit confusing, I think, when you first uncover that rock. But I would liken it to when you go to Northern California and there's a lot of marijuana growing around and nobody really wants to talk about it. It's similar, you can sense that there's something going on, but nobody wants to talk about it.
depends on who you talk to.
It depends on who you talk to. It's true.
Yeah, we can raise it again in Alabama too. I think the Birmingham Holocaust Center will be able to touch upon that. But and also we're going to be joined by, she is the most wonderful woman. Her name is Adiela Bennett. I met her on the steps of the Dexter King Church. Amazing woman. And I don't think she'll touch upon the Jewish involvement. I don't know if she knows about that, but anyway, she might talk a little bit about slavery in Montgomery, but But anyhow, well, it's been such a pleasure. Will we see you in Atlanta?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
GM Millman, what's your first name? Gary? I'm guessing.
Gabe.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, my name is Gabriel.
And where are you right now?
Right now, I'm in North Hollywood.
Ah, okay.
So,
But
I've
you
been
lived in
California.
Georgia for some time.
Sorry?
The yeast, that's the yeast they have.
Right, yeah. My dad lives in Georgia.
Brag.
I'm from New York City, and I'm living in LA.
Okay.
But I actually might move to Alabama.
You what?
I'm considering moving to Alabama.
Ah, which part?
There's a town down there called Dothan. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Mm-mm.
They're trying to entice Jewish life to re-enter. They have an old historic synagogue down there. And there's a documentary that all of you guys might be interested to check out called "There Are Jews Here," which focuses on Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Dothan, Alabama, Butte, Montana, and Laredo, Texas, as these kind of dwindling enclaves of Jews that have had a historical presence there. 4 of those 5 communities are totally depleted right now, except Dothan. And I'm thinking of moving there. Yeah, it's like 5 hours from New Orleans, 5 hours from Georgia, and seems pretty cool. They'll also pay you to move there.
Really?
On how many kids you have? Yeah, there's like there's this guy who's trying to rebuild the Jewish community down there.
Cool.
But yeah, really check out this movie called "There Are Jews Here." If you just look that up, it'll bring you right to the website.
Okay, I will. All right. Well, it was a pleasure.
Toda raba. Toda. Thank you. It's been very fantastic.
See you in Atlanta.
Yes. See you in
Do
Atlanta.
you know who Jinjit is?
No, I don't.
Okay.
All right. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.